What's going on, my beautiful people? Coach Will here. I hope all is well, and in this video we are going to discuss the essential chest exercises that you need in order to build a nice, big, and solid chest. With that being said, if you are new here, be sure to leave a like down below, comment on what you'd like to see me go over next, subscribe, turn on post notifications, do the whole thing. And even if you aren't new here, be sure to still show some love. It really helps the channel grow so I could continue making content like this for each and every one of you each and every single day. So with that out of the way, we'll get straight into it. So when it comes to analyzing the chest, the first thing we need to do is, like we've done in previous videos, we need to go over to my anatomy chart so that way we can dissect the chest. This way we know exactly what we need to do in order to hit the muscle correctly. Alright, so here we are at the good old anatomy chart. As you can see here, we have the chest. Understand that the chest is split up into two components. We have our upper chest and we have our lower chest, which are also known as the pectorals major and minor. Understand that with specific exercises that you do, there are specific exercises that will help emphasize the stimulus that is being placed on the upper chest. Vice versa, there are also exercises that will place the majority of the stimulus on the lower chest. There's a big misconception that there is like a middle chest area here. No, it doesn't really work like that. You have your upper chest and you have your lower chest. And also another thing that people often want to preach is, oh, but what about the inner chest? Like, how do I build my inner chest? Simply be it, you just have to build a bigger upper chest and a bigger lower chest, so that way it will over time fill out your middle chest. Now, before somebody comes at me and says, oh, but Will, I've been doing exercises for years that hit my inner chest, or this person said that, oh, you do this variation with whatever pressing exercise and you're gonna get more of a squeeze here on this area. Understand that whatever chest exercise that you do, if you're getting more of a squeeze on your pectorals, you're implementing the secondary function of the chest, which is abduction, right? If you're able to do some form of abduction with your chest, you're ultimately going to place a different sort of stimulus on that chest, thus resulting in you actually filling your chest in a specific exercise that is for your chest. However, this doesn't take away from the main exercises that need to be performed when emphasizing or when trying to develop your overall chest mass. So with that being said, the exercises that you want to use at hand always should be some form of compound movement. Now, the compound movements at hand should be some form of horizontal pressing exercise that will emphasize your upper chest and some form of horizontal pressing exercise that will emphasize your lower chest. And you can always toss in something in between to address any sort of asymmetry that you may have. Now, you may be wondering to yourself, well, what sort of exercises will give me that sort of benefit where I can hit my upper chest and my lower chest? Well, I'm glad you think of that, because now we're going to get into the exercise variations. So the first chest exercise we're going to talk about today is a time-tested movement. It's probably every gym bro's favorite exercise, and with good reason. That is going to be the bench press. Understand that the bench press, although it is being done from your center of or the middle of your chest, this doesn't necessarily mean it's emphasizing your upper pec or your lower pec. It's working to them in unison to create an overall mass effect on your entire chest. The bench press also utilizes the secondary movers of the anterior delts as well as the triceps to help get the weight moving. The reason why it does this is because if you were to just use your chest alone, you wouldn't be able to lift any sort of significant loads. That being said, your delts and your triceps also get involved to help drive more weight up. Also, keep in mind that with any bench press variation, your entire body is actually involved to a certain degree. You have to use a certain degree of leg drive in order to press your body into the bench in which you're pressing off of. This way you're able to actually lift maximum amount of loads to then produce even greater overload on that chest that you're trying to grow. On top of that, when you're lifting maximum amount of loads, you're also going to be using your core to a great degree because you have to breathe and brace accordingly, so that way you don't just completely collapse under, tons and tons of poundage. On top of that, believe it or not, you're even using your lats to a certain degree to help stabilize the weight as you come down, and then reverse the motion as you go up. Because if you do not engage your shoulder blades and you bring them, down and back, retracting the scapula, and you fail to engage your lats accordingly, this could overall lead to you benching with extremely flared elbows. And if you're not familiar with bench pressing in that way and you decide to press really heavy weights within that format, you could risk serious injury to your rotator cuff, which could lead you being out of commission for long term. So that's the last thing we want. But understand that when done correctly, the bench press is, in my opinion, one of the top movements to do when you're trying to build that big chest. Now, the second movement that we're gonna get into is gonna be more so for the upper chest. So even though with the bench press, you're getting a little bit of both, you're getting the best of both worlds, due to the angle that you have to be in order to optimally bench press heavier loads, the flat bench press in particular tends to favor the lower pectorals. That being said, we need to do some form of pressing variation so that way we can attack the often neglected upper chest, and in comes the incline bench press. See, the incline bench press allows us to place more stress on the upper chest due to the angle in which our torso is placed on the pad. On top of that, the same rules apply as it would with the flat bench press. You're gonna be engaging your legs, you're gonna engage your core, you're gonna have those scapulas retracted and depressed, and you're gonna notice you're gonna have a slight arching lower back due to the retraction and depression of your scapula, or also known as your upper back muscles. That being said, with the incline press variation, this movement not only helps aid your upper chest development, but it'll also give you significant carryover to your flat bench press, so that way you could potentially even press more weight with your flat bench press, thus ultimately resulting in more chest gains long term. And with that being said, we're gonna get into the third movement, and that third movement is the dip. Yes, this could be the body weight dip, or this could be the weighted dip. I am a big fan of dips. It is probably, I'd say, my second favorite exercise, and with good reason. The weighted dip is probably one of the best upper body mass builders of all time. It helps work your lower chest like no other due to the angle that you're placed in. Not only that, it also helps work your triceps. It also helps work your anterior delts like you wouldn't believe. Now, you may be thinking to yourself, why would we perform something like a dip versus just doing our flat bench press? Well, the reason being is the benefits that you get from a movement like a dip is, being that you're moving your own body through space, it is a closed chain exercise. Now, what this means is that you're not restricted to a specific path. You actually have more flexibility with how you decide to perform the specific exercise at hand, meaning that you could perform the exercise to how it is that your body was anatomically structured to perform the exercise, meaning that you can optimize your leverages and you could potentially get even more gains down the road than you would be able to get with something just like a bench press. Now, that doesn't mean that you should completely neglect the bench press and just stick to dips. I'd say you should try to do a little mixture of both. So I say have one day that you prioritize the weighted dip, or any dip in general, and have another day where you prioritize your flat bench press. This way you can get the best of both worlds and you won't have any weak links. Now I'm gonna toss in a little bonus exercise here, and it would be a disjustice if I did not put this exercise in here, and that is gonna be a push-up. This could be any form of push-up variation, and the push-up is a time-tested movement. It is a movement that can be virtually done anywhere, and in my humble opinion, it is probably the absolute best chest exercise that you can do to maximize your chest gains. Now you may be thinking to yourself, why is that the case? Why would I get more gains from something like a push-up versus a bench press, or versus the incline press, or even dips? Well, the thing with dips is sometimes a lot of people find difficulties doing this movement due to the reasoning that they don't have the proper instructions in order to execute them properly, or for whatever reason they're dealing with some sort of anatomical issue to where the standard neutral handle dip just doesn't favor their shoulders due to clavicle issues or the ways they're just anatomically set up. So that being said, this is where the push-up variation comes into play. The push-up allows you to put your body in a position where form and function do not need to be compromised, and you could place your body in whichever position that you need to be placed in order to optimize yourself and your leverages. On top of that, the push-up also allows you to work the often neglected serratus anterior, which also helps bring up that sort of look that you have in your chest when you flex it, where you have almost like these miniature wings going on right below your chest. So it just makes it look that much better. And to top that all off, something like a push-up on like a bench press, the bench press, your scapula or shoulder blades are in a fixed position the entire time. Something like a push-up will allow your shoulder blades to move freely through the range of motion, thus over time helping the health and longevity of your rotator cuff, so that way you can continue to perform optimally for the rest of your workout days. Now, with all that out of the way, my beautiful people, if you found this one helpful, be sure to leave a like down below, comment down below on what you'd like to see me go over next, subscribe, turn on post notifications, do the whole thing, and in will we trust. Until next time.